Hey everybody, it's your girl Nell and welcome to Simply Nails Tiny Studio. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Happy Nellsgiving. This is the month of November, my birthday month, and we are having 30 days of celebrating. It's Nellsgiving, y'all. I believe this is vlog number 7. I think it's vlog number 7 of Nellsgiving. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do so now and hit that like button so that the YouTube gods will know that the tiny studio guests come out in full force whenever Nell pops into the tiny studio. Thank you so much for your support. So listen, let's just get down to it. I've been putting this video off for a minute or so, and I believe the reason why I have done so is because I need to gather myself. I need to gather myself. I had to gather my thoughts and deal with my emotions. And even though I am still processing them, there are certain realities that needed to be faced, that I needed to face, and I'm ready to discuss it all with you, my tiny studio guests. Some of you may not dig what I am about to say, and that's okay. We have a healthy, how do I say this? We should have a healthy sense of dialogue here in the tiny studio, and that's what it's really all about. It's all about a dialogue. It's all about expressing one's opinions and viewpoints. But here in the tiny studio, whew, what do I want to say? Because it's not my thing to offend anyone or offend any of my tiny studio guests. However, some of you may find yourself offended by a lot of what I'm getting ready to say. And if you can bear with me, that would be great. But if not, I'll understand. Okay? No, I won't, but I'll understand. Listen, it's been 6 days since the election results here in the US of A. And of course, my girl Kamala Harris did not win. You know, she did not win the Electoral College. She didn't win the popular vote. She did not win the top seat in the White House. She didn't win it. So, you know, of course, the day after election, she had to go back to work as VP Harris. And that's what she did. And a lot of us had to go back to work in a state of a new reality. But it really isn't a new reality. It's like a old reality. But for many, we have bought into an illusion, and that illusion once again propelled us in many different ways to do the things that we did in supporting VP Harris. However, when a lot of us saw the map of the US of A, election night and the days following, it became painfully clear that the illusion that a lot of us had regarding the promise of the United States of America, regarding us moving forward as a country, being inclusive, being diverse, being able to respect and love one another as Americans, even with different opinions, that whole illusion dissolved. And it dissolved for a great number of people, especially Black women. 92% of African American women who are registered voters voted for Kamala Harris. And I am glad to say and proud to say that I am a member or a part of that number of women. I campaigned hard for VP Harris, as a lot of my fellow Black women did. We campaigned based on the fact that we bought into the illusion. We bought into faith and hope and change and promise. And yes, I'm calling it an illusion. And it stands as an illusion at this point to me based on the map of the US of A. It's an illusion. I really don't feel at this point that the United States of America would ever live up to its promise. And the thing is, it's not going to live up to its promise because the United States of America in its founding didn't promise me or my progeny anything. It didn't promise my ancestors anything. As time went on, the United States of America came up with amendments to its Constitution that allow for people with my color skin to be able to buy into what the United States is supposedly standing for. There were amendments put into the Constitution that guaranteed that people of my skin color could exercise and feel free to exercise the tenets of citizenship that the United States of America grants to everyone who wants to be a part of the Union. Even though my brethren was brought here in chains. We were, according to the Constitution, the amendments to the Constitution, we were afforded or extended the rights of every other citizen here in the United States. So my people, my ancestors, bought into this illusion of a country. And from that point to this, we are still struggling to find our way to coexist within this illusion, hoping that one day the illusion will become a reality for my people. And Tuesday evening, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as the map and the sea of red just engulfed the country, I realized that, unfortunately, I had bought into something that will never be, an illusion, a fantasy. Because most people who voted for Donald Trump, let's face it, they don't care about people like me. They don't care that I am a highly educated Black woman. I'm a Black woman with 3 degrees, working on a 4th. That I have a family of beautiful, successful young people, that my husband is an educated Black man, that all we want is to be able to create and generate generational wealth for our children, grandchildren, and future generations of our family, that we want to be afforded the same equal rights that our white counterparts enjoy. That when we go into a store and we are shopping for anniversaries or shopping for what have you, we're just like everybody else. We go on vacations. My husband and I, we just came back from a vacation. We do all the things that our counterparts do. but we still get looked at crazy. You know, we still face prejudices. We can't go into a store, and even though I may have a wallet full of money and credit cards, and my husband may have enjoy the same, we still get looked at as if we don't belong or as if we are criminals. There are still places in this country where I'm not safe, where my sons are not safe. My daughters definitely aren't safe. And for some reason, when VP Harris was running, I bought into the illusion that things could be different. Kamala Harris was the vision of something different and something more. Is the government, United States government, a perfect government? No, it's not. There are no governments that are perfect. But there are governments here in this world that cater to their citizens' needs, that takes care of their citizens' needs, that accomplish the things necessary to ensure that their citizens are living a comfortable life and a peaceful life. There are countries in this world that are ran in that manner. Everyone looks at the United States of America as that beacon of hope, that beacon of you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything that you want. You can become whatever it is that you seek out to become. And for a lot of people who come here, they find that success. However, me, being the progeny of slaves or a progeny of the enslaved, it doesn't work out that way for me. I am still looked at as other than. And yes, even though I make strides, and people in my family have made strides and efforts and have done things to capture or encapsule the American dream, we still fall short because the decks are stacked against us. To see VP Harris lose the fight was heartbreaking. And the one thing that I did not do that I did in 2016, I didn't cry. I was hurt. I was sick about it. Yes, but I didn't cry because I had been in this place before when Trump won in 2016, and I cried then. And I had this foreboding that something was going to take place. Something bad was going to happen. I was correct. But what made 2024 different than 2016 is that I understood the assignment. I mean, I understand the assignment. What is the assignment? The assignment is that as a Black woman, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. What does that mean? Not giving up means different things to different people. But for me, I'm going to continue to live my life as I did on November the 4th, 2024. I'm going to continue to live as if I'm going to continue to be who I am. I'm going to continue to encourage my sons to become the entrepreneurs that they desire to be and business moguls. I'm going to continue to encourage my daughters to be the beautiful, industrious business women that they want to be. I'm going to continue to encourage my husband to continue moving forward, being the best husband and father that he can be. to continue with his dreams as he begins to get to the age of where he is considering retirement. And then as for myself, as I am encouraging everyone else, I'm going to be working on me, working on Nell. And as I'm working on Nell and I'm encouraging everyone around me, I also understand that in order for us as a people, as Black people, in order for us to succeed, we have to stop having illusions about the illusion of the United States of America. We have to get together as a community of people and begin the process of building our own community, of becoming one with one another, beginning to see the importance of supporting one another, of building bridges with one another, ensuring that the generations to come will benefit from this moment in time. Because this situation, it was bound to happen. The reality that we are living in an illusion, and that the way we see the promise of America for ourselves, it was bound to happen that our hopes would be dashed and destroyed. Excuse me. That was bound to happen. Because this country was moving and headed in that direction, and has been headed in that direction since the Obama administration. A lot of people were not happy about President Obama ascending to the highest office in the land, the highest, most prestigious job in the land. A lot of people weren't happy about that. That's how come you had all these different groups. You had the birther group, the Tea Party, you had radical Republicans. You had all those things that really popped up after Obama became president. There is no way that, when we think about it, that white America was going to allow an educated Black woman run an entire country filled with Black men and Black women. That would have been too much like right. The illusion of America's promise, oh my God. Just think of what would have happened if VP Harris had won. If today we could say President-elect Kamala Harris. How do you think America would have felt if that had happened? Then that would have effectively meant that the promise of America had truly gained some type of momentum. Because I know I felt it a little bit when Obama was president. I did. I mean, just seeing a Black family in the White House like that was just so encouraging, especially for me and for a lot of other people. To see Michelle Obama in the White House, to see her at state dinners, to see her, witness her the essence of being the progeny of the enslaved in the White House in that capacity, that really encouraged and inspired a lot of us, especially as Black women. That's why Michelle Obama holds that place in our hearts and in our lives that, I mean, I'm speechless behind it. However, just to see the map, the way it looked and the way it looks today, all that red, it's like, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. It makes me feel unsafe. It makes me feel very concerned for my sons. It makes me feel concerned for my husband, for myself, my family, my brothers. Just to see the map the way that it looks today, it's just frightening. Because what it says is that America would rather see a convicted felon, a rapist, a buffoon of a white man in a seat of power instead of an educated, experienced Black woman who is intelligent. And you may not agree with her on some of her policies, but you cannot say to me with a straight face that she wasn't more qualified for that top position than Trump. Because she most definitely and certainly is. Put her resume next to Trump's, she would beat him every time. But her pedigree and Trump's whiteness didn't win her the top seat in the land, the top job. It just says, that red map, I keep seeing it in my mind, and it just says to me that America would rather have a convicted felon and rapist in that top job as opposed to a woman, a Black woman who is intelligent, educated, and experienced, a true leader. We would rather pick a man who is an obvious racist, an idiot, a clown. We would rather pick him over this woman right here because he's white. And he has aligned himself with the organizations in this country that's going to ensure whiteness. And that's why Donald Trump was picked. If Donald Trump and Kamala Harris was on the show The Dating Game, and America could not see who candidate 1 and candidate 2 was, I guarantee you Kamala Harris would have won. Because if you close your eyes and you listen to both candidates, there's no way in the world you would say that Kamala didn't deserve that position. No way. And the only reason she did not win is because she's a Black woman, an educated Black woman. That's my opinion. There's nothing about Trump that's redeeming enough for me to say I'm going to give him the top job. If it was a choice between Donald Trump as a candidate for a job and within my company and Kamala Harris, of course I'm going to pick Kamala Harris because she's more suited to the position, as are most Black women in this country, by the way. Many Black women in this country, myself included, are overqualified. Overqualified for many positions that we go up for. Because we learn as Black women that education is important. Having a good business acumen is important. Black women know this. But what happened to VP Harris is what happens over and over in corporate America today. And in America in general. Black women are educated, Black women with experience are passed up all the time. Black women in executive positions make less than their white female counterparts. That's a fact. And then this other thought just rolls around in my head. You know, when we say, oh, America is not ready for a woman president because, Hillary didn't win. So, of course, if Hillary didn't win, how could you have thought that Kamala was going to win? Which is true. America is a misogynistic, not only a racist country, but a misogynistic country as well. There is no way that white men were going to vote for Hillary, and they definitely didn't vote for Kamala. They wasn't going to vote for her. They wasn't going to vote for women, period. White men were not going to vote for a woman or a black woman on top of that. That was 2 strikes that Kamala had against her. The fact that she was black and other while being also a woman. Another thing that rolls around in my head as well is the fact that white America would rather, white women would rather pick a white man who they know is a rapist, a clown, a criminal, a convicted felon. They would rather pick him too over Kamala Harris. Why? Because white women, they don't want a black woman in their kitchen telling them what to do. Even though black women have been in white women's kitchens for centuries, basically running the show. But white women want to have that prestige and that facade that they have it together and that they are the princess of their castle, when the backbone of their castle is really black women. But they would never admit to that. White women as a whole, collective whole, have a really, really muddy past with black women in this country. And once again, we're back at the point where we're having the conversation that Missy Ann is not our friend. Let me tell you something. Missy Ann has never been our friend. Missy Ann has always been selfish and narrow-minded in her interests. Always. Today, people call Missy Ann Karen. But if you are a woman of a certain age, a black woman of a certain age, then you know who Missy Ann is. She's always been selfish. She's always been conceited. She's always had and held true to her own self-interest. The thing is that over the years, Missy Ann has camouflaged herself to make herself appear as if she is an ally to black women, that she has evolved into an ally of black women, when in essence she has not. And it became evident on Tuesday. Okay? It became evident on Tuesday. All so-called cat women for Harris, all of that jazz, that was just some bullshit. Okay? Cat women for Harris, no, they weren't. Cat women for Harris went into the voting booths and shaded in that Trump oval. That's what they did. And then, you know what just popped in my mind? What also popped in my mind is, you know, the red map also shows that all those people who voted for Trump, that they truly believe that Haitians were in Ohio or Springfield somewhere, really eating the pets, really eating cats and dogs. I mean, The delusion is great. And that's why Black women said collectively on November the 6th that we're done. And the funny thing is, Black women, we should have been done years ago. But that's why Black women collectively said on November the 6th that we're done. We're not participating any longer in anything that white organizations, white women have in store, whatever they want to do. We're out of it. Count us out. We're not in. We don't want to be involved. And it's really sad when you think about it, how long it has taken Black women to get to the point where we realize that Missy Ann really does not care about us. It's taken us how many years? 300 plus years to figure that shit out. Okay, because we, as Black women, we have always aligned ourselves in some kind of way to white women and their movements. Okay, because remember, Sojourner Truth was a part of the women's movement of the late 19th century. The late 18th, 19th century. Sojourner Truth was a part of that movement, of the women's movement, the women's suffrage movement here in the United States. Black women were a part of that, even though we were relegated to the back of the bus or to the back of the room. I believe Ida B. Wells talked about that in one of her columns. She talked about how even though the women's movement, the women's suffrage movement, was to help women gain voting rights, actually the women's suffrage movement wasn't for and inclusive of Black women. The women's suffrage movement was really strictly on gaining rights for white women. And whenever people, like Ida B. Wells would bring this up, that the women's suffrage movement needed to be more inclusive, Susan B. Anthony would tell Ida B. Wells that no, that's not what we're going to do right now. We're focusing on the rights of white women. Okay? And when we get that done, then we'll turn our attention to you. So the women's suffrage movement, they did their thing. Okay, Black women chugged along and helped with the illusion that white women were going to help them. And it didn't turn out that way. White women gained the gain the right to vote in what year? I want to say it was 1920 something. Let's look that up because I don't want to be excuse me. I don't want to give out false information. So let me look that up. Okay, women's suffrage movement. Okay, so it was with the passing of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution on August 26, 1920, and that amendment granted women the right to vote. However, even though it granted women the right to vote, it was really granting white women the right to vote. Now, there were Black women in this organization who pushed and pushed and pushed alongside white women to get the 19th Amendment passed and the right to vote to occur. However, Black people still did not have the right to vote. Okay, Black men could not go to their polling booth and vote without being afraid, without being fearful for their lives, without the threat of being lynched. Black men could not vote. Still could not vote. So if Black men were not voting or could not vote or were barred from voting, then you already know Black women wasn't voting. So it wasn't until later, until 1965, where the Civil Rights Act was passed by President Lyndon Johnson, that actually gave Black people the freedom to move about and exercise their right to vote. It wasn't until then. So you say 1920 for white women, then you had 1965 for Black women. Now, what were white women doing between 1920 and 1965 to secure their Black counterparts in the right to vote or the freedom to vote? What were they doing then? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's one of the reasons why I say Black women, we've been doing too much. We've been doing too much. Then let's switch forward to the women's movement of the 1970s. There were a lot of Black women who were involved in the women's movement of the 1970s, of feminist rights and all of that jazz. But guess what? Once again, who did that really benefit? That only benefited white women. That still did not benefit Black women. And what white woman from the 1970s women's movement helped to propel Black women as feminists after women gained certain rights in this country? What did white women do next to help Black women? Nothing. White women still didn't do anything to help. That's history. That's history. White women still didn't help nobody. All the Missy Ann's descendants still did not help anyone. Did not help Black women. Okay? And when it is charted in history that white women were helping, they were only helping Black women to serve their own better interests. Just like the white women who were during the Civil Rights Movement, most notably during the bus boycott. I believe that was the Selma bus boycott. Now remember, white women had to stepped in to help their housekeepers and cooks and maids, their Black housekeepers, cooks and maids. While there were Missy Ann's who were saying, you know what, if I find out you, Annie Mae, were down there down there, picketing and protesting and all that jazz, if I find out that's you or somebody in your family, you're fired. Okay, you had those. But then you also had the Missy Ann's that said, I don't want to fire Anna Mae because she's a really good cook. She's great with the children. She keeps the house in order. I have things I want to do, and she's really good, and I don't want to lose her. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, since she's not, since she's boycotting the bus, and she's walking every day, and it's really a disadvantage to me to have her walking 10 miles to get to my house, and I need her at the crack of dawn. I'm just going to get in my husband's car and pick her up at a certain point and bring her to the house, and then I'll drop her off. Now you had Missy Ann's that was doing that, but were they doing it to support the movement? Hell no. They was doing it because it benefited who? Them. That's where white women are. And yet and still, here we are as Black women. We all hung up in their causes. We all got our signs out to help the cause. But that red map showed us that white women ain't fooling with us. White women ain't checking for us. Even though the statistics and the records show that the 92% or 93% of black women who voted for Kamala Harris, that their main thing wasn't the economy or abortion rights. Their main thing, they voted for Kamala Harris because they wanted to see or make sure or ensure that democracy here in this country stayed in its relative position, in its place. Black women voted for democracy. White women voted their interests. They voted for a white man. A white man who they hope will enact policies that will be beneficial to them. But the main reason why white women voted for Donald Trump is to ensure that their progeny remains in the top dog position here in the United States. Because once again, let's face it, the things that Donald Trump talks about, it harkens back to the great white replacement theory. I mean, one of the speakers that he had on tour with his rallies was that great white nationalist Tucker Carlson. And that's Tucker Carlson's main thing. Though we won't be replaced. The white replacement theory, that is what Tucker Carlson was all about. So what white women want is they want to ensure that their children have a stake in white supremacy. They want to keep this country where it is so that their children will always have 25 legs up, as opposed to the children of the enslaved. Because white women believe inherently that they are better than us. And it showed. Yeah, see, when you look at that red map and you sit back and you think about it like I have, and you know I'm an overthinker. When you really think about that red map and its implications, you know, you do eventually have to see that. You have to come to those conclusions. White women voted their interests. They didn't vote for abortion rights when they voted for Trump because he's not down for that. They didn't vote for that. They voted for the guarantee that the white American race will continue to prosper and uplift and uphold the tenets of white supremacy. That's why white women voted for Trump. Over 53%. Isn't that something? So anyhow, I had to get a few things off my chest. And I've had 6 days to really think about it, 5 days really to think about it. And I just wanted to get this off my chest and talk about it and talk about how I'm feeling. And I want to know how you're feeling too. You know, if you are a Black woman like myself, you know, how are you feeling? What are your thoughts? I know I covered a lot of territory and I could really get in depth with this. But this is how I feel. This is what's going on with Nell. You know? And that's why I say, you know, I'm done with the illusion. I'm no longer buying into the American dream. The American dream wasn't birthed for me. The American dream was not brought together for me and my people. My people, my ancestors were brought to this country to bring the American dream to life. The American dream was never going to benefit us. Okay? That's something that the illusion, the fantasy of America, that's what became ingrained in us as Black people. that the promise of America could be ours too. When in actuality, no, it cannot, because it wasn't birthed by us. It was brought to life by us, but it wasn't birthed by us. When I say brought to life, what I mean, it wasn't built. I mean, it wasn't, we didn't come up with the dream. We didn't do the things to implement the dream. We were used to build the dream. But it was never for us. We never had a place in it. But out of hope and promise, we bought into the illusion. But when I saw that map last week, the illusion for me is over. My main focus is taking care of my family. My main focus is to handle my business and to continue to stand on business. And I'll also not only continue to handle my business and stand on business, I will also be minding my own business. I'm going to let white women and white people handle their business. I'm going to be minding my own business while they do it. And that's okay. I'm good with that. Because now that I'm done with the illusion, I'm able to really focus on my own dreams and my own promises and my own realities. I am. And you know what? That's freedom. That's freedom. Loosing yourself from the shackles of someone else's dream. Loosing your shackles and freeing yourself from somebody else's realities and perceptions of life. That's freedom. I feel good. So thank you so much for watching and engaging with me in this video. It was something that had to be done. I had to get this out the way. Okay, I had to get this out the way. I had to. But thank you so much for watching. This is vlog number 7. And I think vlog number 8, I'll continue with the tips on how to have strong, long, healthy locks. I hope that you have enjoyed the 2 tips that I presented to you before. Tomorrow, I have some more tips for healthy, strong locks. I'm thinking about posting it on TikTok as well. You can follow me on TikTok at Nails. I think it's Nails Tiny Studio. I think so. No, or is it Locknista Queen Nail on TikTok? Whatever the case may be, I'm on TikTok, so I'll be sharing those lock tips as well. I will also be posting more polls so that we can, get into what you would like for me to for us to discuss here in the tiny studio this week. Okay, but once again, I have to say that what you gonna do? My girl VP here, she went back to work the next day. She was back doing her job as VP. And all we can do is go back and do our job, whatever that may be. Just do our job to the best of our ability and keep moving forward and continue to strive for whatever it is that you want, But that red map, oh my God, very, very sobering. Really a wake-up call to a lot of people. A wake-up call to all Black women. All 92, 93% of us. A huge wake-up call for all of us. But we have each other. We're going to continue to move forward just as our ancestors did. Do what you have to do. Preserve your family. Love on your family. And leave your family a legacy that they'll never be able to deny. That they can build upon and thrive upon and, be happy to carry on, right? All right, well, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow in the Tiny Studio. So thank you so much. I'm your girl, Nell. Do not forget to like and subscribe and possibly share. And I will see you later. Bye-bye.